Good afternoon, everyone. This is Charles Perot, and this is the second advanced training webinar on the beta.sam.gov system, the online system for the government opportunities and proposals access. This is, again, sponsored by GDI, and GDI Consulting is going to go through myself and Ab Van again. Are going to be making presentation to talk about the current functionality and some of the questions that were raised before. Hopefully, give you guys more time to ask questions. So we're going to move fairly quickly through the content. Okay, with no further ado, let's get started. First off, again, the webinar is being recorded. So the recording will be sent to you at your email address, and use the chat system over to the right in the dialog box there. It's the second icon down on the left in that blue stripe. The screen, you can use the three red dots to enlarge so that you can get a little bit more screen real estate taken up there, and the quick guide, you can click on the download button also to the right. Again, we're going to be taking the questions as the presentation proceeds. Ab is going to be doing the presentation and some of the demonstration of features, but we will be collecting your questions as we go. So go ahead and send those in. Don't wait for the Q&A. That way, when we get to the Q&A, we have time for both preloaded and live questions. Okay. Again, the background of service here, you can see that there's been the great growth at GDI. We went, if you were in the earlier seminar, we went through this part before. So just bear in mind that the GDIC is a resource for you, available with many professionals and lots of successes with these types of opportunities. So feel free to look through some of the details there, particularly the over 80% win rate. What we covered in the first seminar here, we're going to talk about what was covered before in terms of the SAM.gov, or I should say the beta SAM.gov site capabilities. And then we're going to be talking a little bit more about some of the other topics that are there. And Ab, do you want to step in at this point and kind of cover what the differences are going to be?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ab Van, and I'm a VP for Capture at GDI Consulting. Thanks, Charles. I'll take over from here. As Charles said, we'll have one slide just to review what we covered in the first webinar, and then go delve into new topics. The topics that we want to cover here today is first changing the filters on the search page, how to configure your search criteria, and then searching RFPs by location. There are still a lot of bugs in this software, so we're going to discuss some of them, and if you have ways to alleviate those, we'll discuss that. And then we'll have some use cases. These are questions that have been posed to us as to how we can do a daily search and things like that. We'll cover those, and then we'll go to the Q&A session. I guess I should also mention that per the previous webinar, we have created a very good, I think, quick guide that you can download, and it's the download button to the right. So if you want if you didn't get it in the first webinar, you can click and download that. It has all the menus of this beta.sam.gov website, so it will make you familiar with it. So what we covered in the first webinar was first we gave a background on why they did it and what's the purpose. They're going to compile a number of different websites into one. We went over the menus, the search page, the solicitation details page, the interested vendor list. We discussed saved searches and also how to follow RFPs. Now, for those who were not present in the first webinar, if you go to our website, to the webinars section, you can download the replay. If you don't find it, just let us know. We'll give you our contact info at the end. Just let us know and we can send you the link so you can watch that as well. So we are assuming that most of you are familiar with beta.sam.gov, and we'll give you some more details today. Okay, let's start with the first item, and that is changing the filters on the search page. So we did cover in the previous training that there are a number of items to the left of the search page that you can manipulate, change, so that you can actually set your search the way that you want it. Now, there is a button called Change Filters that I wanted to cover because this does include some extra capabilities. So if you click on that, you'll see that a new page appears, and there are a number of items. If you scroll this down and up, you'll see some are selected and some are not. Whatever is selected will be shown on the search page, and you can use and enter values into them to search. So just jumping into the next item, which was how to search using location. If you scroll down, you'll see that there is an item called place of performance state, which is not selected. Don't make a mistake with the place of award state. That's not the one we want. We want place of performance state. So if you click on that and then click on update, you'll see that if you scroll down, now a new item has appeared, place of performance state province. So I'll come back to this and we'll give you some insight on this, but this is how you can actually change the filters that you have here. In effect, you can add or remove filters, and we'll get to that, how you can actually use this to clear up your screen a little bit more and just leave the stuff that you want and remove the rest as well. So that is essentially how you actually add or remove. If you click on it and you unselect anything here, for example, one of the things that is not used at all when you're doing searching for opportunities is entity name, unique entity ID, or DUNS number. Since this is essentially and mostly used for companies and in awards, you wouldn't need this. So all you have to do is uncheck this and say update. So when you do that, it's no longer there. It was supposed to be here. So you see it's not there anymore. So this way you can add or remove items that you do or don't need using the change filters. Now, going back to that location, that was one of the things that I added. You'll see that a place of performance box appears. And here, when you click on it and wait a few seconds, you'll see that a list of all the states appears here. And you can select that, and it's going to search and bring you only those RFPs, only those opportunities that are in that particular state. Do note that there are also a few other extra ones like AA for Armed Forces America, AE Armed Forces Europe, and AP Armed Forces Pacific. However, per our tests, you should not use this for international searches. It will not bring you a complete list. For example, the entire Middle East is under the Armed Forces Europe, but it's not going to bring it. Even inside Europe, it's not going to bring all the RFPs. So if you want international countries, you want to search for RFPs in a particular country, do not use this. Go up and put it in the keywords. Like say you want to search for Kuwait, put it here. You want to search for South Korea, Japan, whatever, put it here in the keywords. Now, coming back to this place of performance, state and province, unfortunately, now again, one of those quirks is that you can only enter one state. So if you want to search for 3 different states, you can't do it at the same time. You have to do it separately. This accepts only one state. So that's the problem with it. The good thing about the zip code is that you can add multiple zip codes, but with state, you cannot do that. You can just add one state. So that's the shortcoming of this at this point. Okay, let's move to the next issue, which I did discuss, that is clearing up these items. If you go back to change filters, I wanted to give you my suggestion as to what should remain and what should be removed. First of all, this entity name, unique entity ID is usually ticked, selected. I suggest removing it. There's no need for that. Also, there is a item called Inactive Dates. This is rarely used by companies. Of course, if you're in need of it, you should keep it. But inactive date is when they are going to archive. I'm talking the same vocabulary as the previous FBO website. There was an archive date. This is the same. So inactive date is when this opportunity is going to be archived or inactive. Usually you don't search by that. I suggest removing this. So I untick that. Also, something strange, and that is this. Publish date. We checked. There is essentially no difference between publish date and the other date that they have, which is, let me see, where is the updated date. There's no difference between published date and updated date. We did a number of searches, different months, different years, and essentially they're the same. So it was supposed to show, the published date was supposed to give you just the new RFPs, and the updated date was supposed to give you those that were updated. But unfortunately, it's not working like that. Both of them give you the same thing, which includes both published and updated dates. So when you remove this and just keep this updated date and use this, this is going to give you just the not only the updated date, but also whatever has been published new. So that's why my suggestion is until they resolve this problem is to remove this published date to make it clear. Now, we did discuss adding the place of performance state, so you should add this because this is not added as default, so you should add that. And then there is a good one here, title, and I'll tell you why you should add that. So add title as well, and then update. Now, why have I added up title? I'll come to that. But if you look at this now, the dates is fairly simpler, just 2 of them, updated date and response date. Sometimes you want to use this. And some of those others have been removed here as well. Now, I have added title because unfortunately, there's another quirk, another shortfall in the way this new website works. Let me show you why. Assume that I want to search for the RFP HCATS, which has recently been issued. So I type HCATS in the keywords and hit return. And you will see that it says this is the RFP, but this is unfortunately the old version. There's a newer version. If you scroll down, because I know it, this is it. You see, it says it has that version that it showed is at the pre-solicitation stage. It says original sources sought. But this one is now out, and it's due January 28th. So its full RFP is released. The problem is that when you go by keyword, it does some of its own calculations and lists by relevance. You see this relevance? So it's listing it by relevance, not by date. So you're never sure if there was one after this unless you go and click on this and say last updated date. And there it is. The new one now appears. So that's the problem when you search by keywords. If you do that, you can do it, but then always remember to come here because the default is relevance. It always lists by relevance. Come and change the sorting from relevance to last update. Otherwise, you might miss things. I've seen many companies who did not know about the fact that HCATS was issued because they were doing it like this. Put in HCATS. They did it on a daily basis, thinking that they were checking for any updates for HCATS. And then they just were looking at the old version. The contracting officer, for whatever reason, had not updated the old version, had created a new document, this one, and they weren't seeing it because it was being sorted by relevance. Now, the good thing about, now I'll remove this. The good thing about title is that it doesn't go by relevance. It goes by date. So if I say HCATS here, instead of in the keywords, you'll see it says the default is last updated date automatically. There is nothing about relevance here. And you'll see that the latest one appears here. So that's why title, if you know that the word that you're looking for is in the title, is much better than keywords. The good thing about keywords is that it's going to check the inside of the body of the RFP, not the attachments, but the body of the details page, and look for the words that you put in there. Title will not do that. Title will search in the title only. But if you want to look for specific RFPs, sometimes going for title is better. So that's why I added that to the list. So by that, we come to the end of this part, which is the search criteria. Next, I want to explain some of the other glitches, some of the other shortfalls. I did explain the relevance sort and gave you the example for HCATS. There's also what I said, the problem, I just want to reiterate. There is no difference between published date and updated date. So if you're searching by that and think that you're getting different things, unfortunately, that's not working. So published date and updated date are the same. Unfortunately, they have not made it work correctly. Essentially, published date should show new stuff, and updated date should show whatever was old but has been updated. Right now, either of them will show you both the published, the new stuff, and the updated date. That's why we kept only one. Another problem, and many have said that to us, the problem with different agencies and not being able to find the agencies. So especially the DoD agencies, where you want to go underneath just the Navy or just the Air Force, it's just not possible. There's no way to go after, for example, agencies like NavAir or things like that. Now, I want to also give you some other problems that exist. Say that, for example, you want to go after DLA aviation. Right now, there's no way of finding DLA aviation in this because DLA is a subset of DoD, and that's it. It just has 2 levels. So there's no way you can, search for DLA aviation. The only way you can do it is, and the same is for other sub-agencies. The only way you can do it is to put it in the keywords and put it in quotes. So here, if I say DLA aviation in the keywords, okay, so, and then hit return, you can see that here it's considered as one word, and it's going to search and see if it can find anything with DLA aviation in it. Okay, so that's the way it's going to work. Now, the problem is that you have to see how the government has actually typed that agency, and you have to type it exactly that way. Otherwise, you're not going to find it. So best way we have found is that go and find one of those RFPs that does have the full name, correct name in it, and then just copy paste that and remember to use that so that you can actually find those agencies. Let me, for example, bring you give you an example of this. Okay, so let's do a full search here. For example, Naval Research Laboratory. There's no way that you can go into the search for organizations and find Naval Research Laboratory. But what you can do is you can actually copy it here. If you know that's the correct name that is written, and then put it in quotes here, and then do a search for it. And you'll see what it finds is all those that do have the Naval Research Laboratory. So you see, it's bringing only those RFPs that do have the NAVFAC or Naval Research Laboratory name in them. And that includes inside the text of the details page. So that's how you can go around this problem. Unfortunately, if you have to type another keyword, like, for example, you want to look for all those projects that do have the keyword A10, like the aircraft A10, and also, for example, some agency in the Army, if you type it, or Navy, whatever, if you type it here, it's not going to work. Because the way it's going to look for is that it's going to look for all the Naval Research Laboratory plus all A10s. So you're going to get a lot of A10s that are in different, different other agencies, and you're going to get a lot of Naval Research Laboratory RFPs that have nothing to do with A10. So unfortunately, if you have to have multiple keywords, it's not going to work. So this searching by agency, by sub-agency is going to work only if you are not going to use any other keywords. And one other thing that people have made a lot of mistakes is this. For keywords, if you type something and do not enter return, do not hit return, it's not going to work, and people don't realize it and think that they're looking at the correct search. So do make sure that when you type something, like I'm typing A13 now, you hit enter. And the way to check it is that it must appear here as a small button that you can actually remove by going over this X. So always make sure that your keywords are seen here as buttons or as entered. That's something that people make a mistake on. And also with regards to dates, don't forget to hit the filter date. So once you enter a date like 12, 10, 2019, you can see that filter button appears. You must hit that, otherwise this date, even if you hit enter, is not going to work. So for dates, you must click on this filter. For the keyword, you must click on enter. That's something to remember. One other glitch I wanted to say, and many people have said, written to me, is you're getting a lot of emails about a specific RFP that you're following, but when you go back to the RFP, to the betasam.gov page, you don't see any changes. Well, the problem is this. That's another glitch. The way it works is that whenever somebody adds himself or herself to the interested vendor list, you're going to get an email. So if there are 100 people that are going to add themselves, and if you have given it the timing of immediate notification, you're going to get 100 emails about that same RFP. So if you don't want to do that, remove that immediate and change it into 1 day. And I'll show that later on when we go to the following page. But that's the problem. If you're getting multiple emails about a specific RFP, and when you go back and see there's no change, it's notifying you about the people who are adding themselves or actually removing themselves. People are testing and you start getting emails. So that's the problem. Okay, now I want to also share some experience as to use cases. In other words, how you can actually do some stuff, some of the requirements that people have sent us. For example, if you want to search by state, we had a few questions. How can I do a search by state? I just showed you. You have to go to the change filter button, and we did that. You go and add the button about place of performance state. You update. And then there you see the place of performance state. You enter the state here, and then you can search. Now, question is this: what if you want to do search for 3 states? As I said, you can't do it. So what you have to do is you have to create 3 different searches. 3 different searches, perhaps name them by the state, and then each time you have to run them separately. I'm sorry to say that. And for all the questions I have received about the fact that how can you receive the results of the searches on a daily basis, unfortunately, the Betasam website as it stands right now does not do that. There's no way that you can get your searches sent to you. You have to connect to Betasam and run it. That's the only way it works. Of course, you can then download it, but that's it. I mean, it doesn't work like the old FBO website that you could actually tell it to send you the search results on a daily basis. It doesn't work like that. So you have to do it yourself by hand. Come to the website, hit or click on the search, make it run, and then perhaps save it or do whatever you want. So that I hope I've answered. I think I got about 50 questions on that. But the other problem is that if you're going to search by state, you have to have multiple searches because it doesn't allow you to have multiple states in that box. Okay, so one other way of doing it, of course, is if you want to search by multiple states and your keyword is empty, in other words, you're not searching for anything by keyword, then you can put the states here. Say, for example, I'm removing these. Assume that I want to search by all the RFPs that I'm looking for in Virginia. I hit return, and then perhaps Maryland. I hit return, and perhaps New York. And New York is 2 words, so you have to put them in quotes. Otherwise, it will go for New and York, and you don't want that. So New York. So now it's going to search all the RFPs that are in New York, in Virginia, and Maryland, or might mention that word. It's not necessarily that that's the place of performance, unfortunately. It just tells you that the words New York, Virginia, or Maryland are mentioned in the details of that RFP. And then you can set other things like dates or NAICS code, whatever you want. However, the problem is here again, like the previous time I mentioned. If you also want to search for A10, you can't do it, because then it's going to search for all the New York, all the Virginia, all the Maryland opportunities plus all A10 opportunities. It's not an and. So that's the problem. But if you don't want to put anything in the keywords part, you can always put multiple states here, and it will help you a lot. It's much better than doing it other ways. So one question is this use case. You want to search for new RFPs on a daily basis. What should you do? Okay, so what you should do is assume that we want to keep this. So you want to look for RFPs on a daily basis for New York or Virginia or Maryland. And I'll clear the date here. And also, you want, for example, you're in a IT company, so 541512 is your NAICS code that you're looking for. You're looking for this type of computer system design services. So you select that, and that's it. Perhaps you don't have anything else. It doesn't matter which organization, which agency, or you could actually put in the agency. So you do that. You don't put any dates, okay? Remember, we want to create a search that you can do on a daily basis. You don't put any dates here, and then you save this search. So you make the search first, which we have done because we've put in the NAICS code, and we've hit return on these. So this is showing me 25 results for active opportunities in New York or Virginia or Maryland, which are in the NAICS code 541512. So what you do is you save the search and you give it a name. Usually daily would be a good one, unless you have multiple daily ones. I mean, you want to do multiple searches for different things, like, for example, different NAICS codes or things like that, that you want to be separate. Then you put it, for example, daily IT, and then you might do a daily engineering separately. But we'll call this daily IT and save it. Okay, so now on a daily basis, you connect to the SAM, beta SAM. You go to saved searches, and it's going to list you all the saved searches that you have. And here it is, one of them. I have, for example, daily 541330. This is daily IT. And the way you work on it on a daily basis is you click on it. By clicking on it, it's going to run. But the problem is that you haven't put in a date. So it's going to give you everything. Now, what you do here is you go to the updated date or published date, whichever you want to keep, and just put in the date for not today, yesterday. Today is 12th, we go for 11th, whatever. I mean, if today is the 10th or the 5th, whatever, you subtract 1 from it. The reason is that the BetaSAM website is updated a number of times during the day. So if you search for RFPs today at, say, 3 in the afternoon, sometimes they update it at 5 in the afternoon, and you're going to miss those. And tomorrow when you come, you might not see it. So the best thing to do is to actually search for everything that was done yesterday. And the way you do it is assuming that today is 12th. Okay, so this month of 12 here. So since today is the 12th, you say 11th. So month of 12, day 11, 2019, and same here. And then you hit filter. And that's it. You're supposed to get what you have, you want. So there's nothing IT in New York, Virginia, or Maryland during this day. Now let's remove these just to see if there is really anything or not. Yes, there are 3 of them. If you didn't say the states, and I'll remove New York. There are 3 of them. There's a NASA one, and another NASA one, and a VA one. So 3 RFPs were issued yesterday or changed yesterday on the 11th, which were IT. So you have to do this each time on a daily basis. So on a daily basis, you go to the saved searches, and you hit the title of the search you want, daily IT, and then you enter yesterday's date, whatever that is. You see it remembers everything else, but the date is here. The date is empty, so you just enter it here. So this is how you do a search on a daily basis. And the important thing, as I said, is not to search for today's date, but yesterday's date, so that you don't miss anything. Okay, now one other thing is we will go for how to find new solicitation that you have followed. That's a major problem that many companies are having. Let me show you what I mean by that. If you remember, if you want to see what projects you're following, you go to Workspace, and then you hit Unfollowing here. And a list appears here that tells you, or is supposed to tell you what you're following, but unfortunately that name doesn't ring any bells as to what this is, which RFP this is. Worse than that is when you add something to it, again, you don't know which of these you've just added. So let's go back to our search and assume that you just wanted to add this one. You go inside this RFP. You think that this is a good RFP to follow. You click on the follow. Now you want to go and find it in the list of followed RFPs. There's no way you can do it because it just doesn't tell you the name. Here, I still don't know which of these. It's not necessarily the first one. Sometimes it goes third one. Sometimes it appears here. There's no way I can tell which of these was the one that I just added. Now, there are 2 things about this is you should always, once you add something, you should also write this. What we do is we create an Excel sheet, write this record ID in it, and then write the name of the RFP in front of it. So I have always that Excel sheet that tells me which RFP by name or by RFP number is this record ID, this long name, this numbers and things like that. So you have to do that off-site, off of this BetaSAM in an Excel sheet. But the problem is that even if you want to do that, I just added one. How do I know which one of these it was so I can add it into that Excel sheet? So there is one way that we found that you can do it. I'm going to show you. So question is this: how do I know which of these, that's your, it's being listed here, and there's a second page also, which of these is the new one, so I can actually put that in front of the name of the RFP in that Excel sheet. Okay, so the way we do it, it might sound very backwards and simplified, but that's the way we do it. The way we do it is before we start following an RFP, we select all the followed ones. Okay, we click here. This way they're all selected on this page. But if you have multiple pages, because each page shows you 10, and I have 13 of these. So here it says select all 13. Otherwise, I have to go to second page. Instead of doing that, I click on this, select all 13. So now I know all the followed RFPs are selected. Then from the actions menu, I change immediate to weekly. So all of them are now weekly. Okay. Now I go back to the search, make my search, for example, whatever, and find the RFP that I want. Assume that this is the RFP I want. I go inside it and I hit unfollow. I go back to the workspace. Here following. Okay, now it's being listed here. I followed one of them. That followed will not have an email frequency of weekly. It will have an email frequency of immediate. That's the way I can find it. So I click on page 2, look for it, and there it is. On page 2 is the new one I just found. So here I write the record ID of this in that Excel sheet, put in the name of the RFP or the RFP number so that I know what I'm looking for. And then I select again all of them. All says select all 14. I select all 14 and change back all of them to immediate, or change back all of them to daily. This only works if all of your follows have the same date. So if all of them are, for example, daily, you change them back to weekly, find the one, change it, or write it down, and then change everything back to daily. But if you have a mixed bag of different dates, some of them are weekly, daily, or immediate, it doesn't work. I don't know if this might be helpful, but we thought that perhaps this idea might give you some leverage as to finding the new stuff that you follow and how to write it down in that Excel sheet. Okay, I hope that this experience that we've given you, these different various experiences have been helpful. I should mention that we do provide support for companies who are facing difficulty with the BetaSAM. We have 3 different capture plans. First capture plan provides a daily search of the BetaSAM and creating a search email. And so in other words, you will tell us what you want us to search for. It might be multiple searches. We do the searches for you and send you by email the results on a daily basis. That's plan A. Plan B is we actually not only do we source the RFPs for you, we also qualify them for you as well. So we first sit down with you, find out what your goals are, what are you after, what agencies you want. Then we source the RFPs, and then we qualify them, and then provide you a report on a daily basis on what we have found. And the third plan is, of course, full capture. Okay, as you can see, I've outlined it here. So plan A is opportunity sourcing. As I said, we'll be sending you daily emailing of your targeted opportunities. Plan B is pipeline development, sourcing and qualification. And plan C is full capture management. And here is our email and phone numbers, just in case you want to contact us. You can email us, email me if you have any technical questions, and I will certainly answer your questions as soon as we can. Okay, we're going to go into the Q&A. I saw a number of the questions have been answered. There are a number of questions again about receiving emails for their searches. I want to emphasize that this cannot be done with the current beta SAM. In other words, in the previous version of FBO.gov, you could actually save your searches and then receive the results on a daily basis by email. This cannot be done, at least right now, until they create changes in the system. This cannot be done, and you have to actually go into the system and do the search yourself. Okay, another question, a number of actually companies have said, asked us why there's this problems, and as if they thought that we are part of GSA or part of the government. We do not have any affiliation or any connection to GSA or to the government. We are a for-profit company trying to help government contractors, and that's why we're holding this webinar and training people to work with the new system and understand its shortcomings. Hopefully GSA is working on these, but usually they're slow. So, and they have a lot, different people have different requirements. So they're working on it, but we have no control on those. We are just like you. Best way of getting your points to GSA is they usually have a button at the end, the bottom right of most screens by the name of provide feedback, blue button. Use that and provide your feedback. Do tell them about all the shortcomings and what you need, and they're going to go for it. I know that they're slow, but I think that's the best way to get this done correctly. But just to sum up everything, I do want to emphasize that at this point, this is what we are doing for our clients. We are not making much use of the search filters. We usually search everything by eye, one after the other, just to make sure that we are not missing anything, because right now we cannot really rely on the different functionalities of these filters. So if you're after some very sensitive material, we suggest that you search the RFPs one by one, page by page, instead of trying to use different filters and making sure that you could do it. That's why a number of companies are coming to us, so that we do it for them, because it's a time-consuming one, I understand. But the problem is this. As I showed you on that HCATS, there are many things like that, and it might create problems for companies who are following specific opportunities, and if they lose that and don't get on it on time, they're going to have problems. So if you're doing it yourself, my suggestion is to use as much work by hand rather than using the different filters. until this system becomes more stable. Unfortunately, it is not at this time, and you can't really rely on it. By that, I would like to thank everyone for participating in this webinar, and we look forward to seeing you on our future webinars as well. Thank you. Have a good day.